The DFATE Wavefront invitation to come and meet with our Canadian companies to see the best of what we have to offer, and hopefully there will be some great partnership opportunities that will come about. In terms of DFATE, in the event that some of you here are not familiar with the Trade Commissioner Service, we have posts in over 140 countries around the world, and we help companies get established in foreign markets. As I say, many of you are already engaged with us. So we work with organizations such as Wavefront. We also work with our partners at the Ontario Ministry of Economic Development and Innovation, and we want to thank our partners at MEDI for hosting us at this lovely facility here. So I'm sure that no doubt you'll find it to be an informative morning with the presentations that my colleague Hiro Iwao from the embassy in Tokyo is going to talk about, the whole different culture in Japan and how to do business there. He's been with us for a very long time, and I have worked with him on telecom opportunities. He's extremely knowledgeable and certainly someone to stay in close contact with if you're interested in the market. So I'm going to hand it over to Hiro and wish you a good morning. Thank you.
Thank you very much, everyone. Good morning, everyone. Just as introduced, I'm a trade commissioner with DFATE, and I'm stationed in Tokyo, and I'm working with the Canadian embassy in Tokyo. And for the past 14 years, I've been working as a trade commissioner, or maybe you maybe call like a commercial advisor with foreign governments. And with DFATE, I've worked for 7 years. And before that, I've worked for 5 years with another government, Norwegian government, and almost with the same function. And also 2 years with Virginian government. And all the time, I've been watching so many foreign companies trying to enter the Japanese market. And some of them are quite successful, but actually many of unfortunately not. And there are a couple of clear reasons, but it's so hard for the North American people to understand the business culture, the business practices, and that's happening in Japan. And why? So many people ask why this is not so. Why the Japanese people work this way and that kind of behavior is present in that country. All questions, not just typical to you, but it's also quite hard for us to explain. So, as a Japanese, we just born in Japan with the same in that culture already. So we think that's the kind of more natural way of things going. But for many people outside Japan, quite different. I have a couple of slides to show you. I'm not going to cover everything on these slides, but I'm sure most of you are interested in doing business in Japan. And you know how the Japanese market, the Japanese economy is all about. Like, Japan has a GDP of like 5 trillion or 6 trillion US and Canadian dollars. And still, Japan is the largest creditor in the world. And also, that's the country where the most Fortune 500 companies are located. Still a large, huge market. And so for those of us South markets like mobile industries and new industries, they have also quite many opportunities. But the later I'd like to discuss about that. We particularly work as a middle person between you and the Japanese companies or Japanese market or Japanese consumers. We would like to have this opportunity to share some ideas how the Japanese people are working out. The first thing I'd like you to understand is the concept of one. The one means it's a harmony. And just to describe here, if you propose something to a Japanese company, and even if it's really, really interesting and it's beneficial, obviously beneficial for the company, it's not really fast enough. They're not really quickly responding to you that, well, so we like it, we'd like to work with you. This doesn't happen. That takes a long, long time to come to a kind of decision point. And finally they will say, well, we'll think about it. That takes 1 month. And another 2 months. We will start reviewing your idea. And meanwhile, they will find another company that's actually developing similar things, similar technology, similar products, and they will adopt that company's unfortunately that product. This may happen. This will happen. It's all because of the idea of block. For the rest of the slides are all about this, explaining how this harmony is working. The Japanese people are working as a team. In most companies, this is said, well, they rarely say, well, I'd like to talk to you, or I'd like to look into your product, or I'd like to look into your ideas. This doesn't happen. That one person will say, well, we will consider your products, your ideas. Because well, that one person doesn't have a decision-making power. Who has the decision-making power? Supervisors, managers, presidents? They don't. Even the president or CEO of the company, they have to consult. They have to talk to his colleagues or the staff he really, really relies on. And if the president, if he does something very, very arrogantly to decide something for the company, he will have a very difficult time managing the company. So it's not really the top-down style. It's more like a consensus-based, or maybe you could call it the bottom-up. And that society is well represented as these characteristics. And, even if you want to speak to the senior person, he doesn't say, I will take a look at it. We will take a look at it. That means he will talk to other people from other sections and taking time, and they will review your products or review your ideas. So this all takes time. Maybe 1 or 2 weeks before you get the appointments, meeting appointments. This is normal.
Excuse me. Yeah. Can you elaborate on the personal private space?
This one?
I-hand contact.
I-hand contact. This is you have to talk to the person, and by looking at his own eye, that eye contact is very important in North American society. But if you talk to many different people, who is the person to be target of your eye contact? That's really difficult. And a Japanese person is not doesn't really want to have the eye contact. They don't want to listen. So you have to take a look at many people, just like I'm doing.
And also I want to make a note that we usually say, you look at tie, necktie. That's what they do. But people don't wear ties these days, so you just have to take a look at maybe around this area. That will make people more comfortable.
that doesn't need kind of credibility, less credibility. And so, so because they have to talk to a lot of different people from different sections, so you can't do that. You can do this to another Japanese companies, many people, to handle the business talk with different people from one single company. So that has to be done by the person who is in the middle. Maybe the company represents the person who represents the company. That person may be just a junior level person, or something between junior and senior. So you don't really need to talk to the senior person. Many foreign companies would tend to seek for the person, general managers, high-ranking people to talk to, because they simply think they may have the decision-making power. But as I said, it's more efficient to talk to the person who knows the company, who knows the product, or who can assess your products or services or technologies. And the person will evaluate that technologies and make a proposal within their own company. And that person is likely to be assigned by the company itself. Or the person like me, I'm an external person. I'm totally different from both parties. So because that one person is talking to many different people, so he takes time. It doesn't happen like just making the one phone call and get the answer from the person from associated section, and comes back to you and say, or if it's okay, or get the deal, or probably nearly get the deal. This doesn't happen. It takes weeks or maybe months to go to get the consensus from each different associated section. So you will first get frustrated in this process. Just one single question that can be answered in 1 hour or 2 hours, or this kind of thing. That takes for 1 week or 2 weeks. So you will probably wonder what this guy is doing. But that's also normal. Please communicate with that middle person, and don't jump to the senior level people to get the answer directly from them. That will make the middle person lose his face. And this is another concept. It's not just happening in Japan. It's happening in the world. What we call honne and tatemae. It's a real feeling and superficial feeling. In public, if you want to say, I don't like you, or it's not interesting to me, what do you say? Do you directly say that? But it's very hard to say, well, I don't like you, I don't like your idea, I don't like the product. So maybe we'll say, well, I will consider it's a bit difficult for us to think about now. Think like that, right? In Japan, this is more obvious. Obvious means, well, it's more complicated. I also will later discuss if they want to say no, it takes a bit different ways to express that. If you hear, well, I will think about it. What do you think? If a Japanese person says, you are proposing something, and they answer, well, I will think about it. What's the sign of this?
Okay.
You don't know. This almost means no. I don't like it. If that happens, well, this is one of the rule of thumbs. If they say, well, yes, this is not really, this doesn't, I found the slides misplaced. If they really, really want to work with you, and if they really like your product, they will respond like more specifically. This is very interesting for us, and we would like to think about actually working with you. And we will talk to another people from a different section or a supervisor, and I will get back to you by this date. I will take probably several weeks to evaluate, but I will come back to you on some sort of commitment we made. And if you hear that kind of long answer, that's what the signs that they really, really have interest in your products. And so it's also, this is all about harmony. Even if the company likes your product, they need to adjust something inside themselves, which is called nemawashi. This is another. There are two Japanese words that probably you are familiar with. The one is Toyota system. It's an operating system, very efficient. The second one is nemawashi. It's a conspiracy like internal adjustment. If there's idea A and there's another idea B, both are interesting for the company to go with. And idea B is proposed by someone inside another person. And that company doesn't want to lose his face as well, even if the company likes the idea A. In that case, the company needs to persuade that person who proposed the idea B. What they will likely do is they will discuss with this person, and they will probably invite to a drink, and maybe will promise the next level promotion, yeah, something like that. And this all takes time, and it's a very complicated adjustment inside themselves. So, but even if this is happening, you don't know what's happening. You are proposing plan A, which is very obviously interesting to that company, but that company is not really quickly responding. If that happens, that sort of nemawashi is going actually taking place. And your middle person, as I said, well, you need to communicate with that person more frequently. But that middle person cannot tell exactly what's actually happening because it's some information is confidential, and they don't want to disclose. This is another moment that you will feel frustrated. But this is something you want to know before working with Japanese companies. Now, yes or no. Japanese yes means, as I said, it's not actually yes. If they really, really say yes, but they speak more specific comments, phrase, or commitments. If they just would say yes, that means almost no. And I'd like to take this opportunity to talk about a grammatical difference in Japanese language. Yes, it's not, actually, it's the weather. It's not raining right now. If I ask a question like, is it raining? And your answer will be, no, it's not. Isn't it raining? No, it's not. That's the answer. For the Japanese language, yes or no mean, points to the actual, it's like a mathematic, a plus and minus sign. So if you ask the question like, isn't it raining? Then they will answer like, yes, it's not raining. If you say no, then minus minus, that makes plus. So if you ask the question in the meeting, like, are you happy with this deal? And if that person is really, really happy with that, then he will say, yes, I'm happy with that. If you ask a bit different, like, you aren't unhappy with this deal, are you? Then they will get confused. If they say, yes, yes, I'm unhappy. If they say, no, it's unhappy. So they'll just avoid negative questions. And in order for the company to work, really motivated to work for you and adopt your idea, they want to be familiar with you. And they want to have a close relationship with you. And they want to be sure that relationship will not end so soon or easily. So proposing your business ideas to the Japanese company means almost like proposing a relationship with that company. And so if the company does not really confident or convinced with your company itself or your commitment, then they will probably don't decide to work with you, even if the product is excellent. So I'm not going to take much more time. Well, this will take a little bit after this event. Because well, this event is the kind of opportunity for you to actually assess or get advice or test your products or services if your products are really marketable in Japan. And if that answer is yes, then you will probably want to next will meet with actual Japanese companies. Maybe you go to Japan and visit some companies. Something must. It's the first moment you will create your relationship, initiate your relationship by really like kind of ceremonial actions, behaviors. So, like let's say, when you exchange your name card, like so it's just like this. Okay, I'm Hiro. Nice to meet you. So I use both hands, not just a single hand like this. The people from Norway, they used to do like this. This is really disgusting. You lose your confidence. So it's just it's a big difference if you know this or not, do not know. Even if the later behavior is pretty much well North American, but if you start with this, this will give the Japanese partners, prospective partners, that you at least look into the culture. So this is very important. It's the first time you will do it. And the Japanese people, okay, so the interpreters, in Japan, English is not a major language. They all speak Japanese. 80%, 90% of the time, they speak only Japanese. If you speak English, maybe the meetings will be attended by multiple Japanese staff. Only one person can speak English, and all others are just there. It's important for them to be there, but they don't understand. So what will happen is make it asleep. This is where it's really frequently happening. It's disgusting for you to see that kind of situation, but still that's normal. It's much better that you prepare an interpreter. So always will think about providing an interpreter. And this is also something one technique having a meeting with Japanese companies. The speech, when they speak slowly, even if they speak English, when they speak slowly, even if they speak Japanese with the Japanese people themselves, they speak just slowly. And so one typical difference is the pause between the phrase or the speech. Let's say, well, how are you? I'm fine, thank you. That's almost like one person says and the second person starts when the first person finishes the speech. But in Japan, there is 1 second pause in between. So how are you? You have to wait 1 second and say, I'm fine, thank you. This is called na. Na means it's a pause. It's also an important factor. And because the English people, the people in North American market, do not have this ma. Japanese people find it hard to communicate with the people from North America, even if they speak English. So this makes them mentally frustrated. So that will create some not really favorable effects. Okay, well, still Japan is it's a huge country. The economy is, even though the economy now is business situation is still robust, and each company will make profits. And if you work with a Japanese company, even if it takes time, once the business gets normal, your revenue will go up very exponentially. However, the Japanese companies are always looking for the technologies or new services, and this will be later specifically explained by one of the speakers we have today. Please remember that Japanese companies are always looking for new technologies, and even if they show indifference, still you should not lose confidence. This is a slide I wanted to talk about before. The trade commissioner service in Japan, we will do just as I said, we will work as a middle person. The first middle person, and later we will give control to the actual companies we represent. But before getting to that point, we will work as a middle point. So please do not hesitate to talk to us in case we want to work with Japanese companies or the Japanese market. We will find out who's going to be the actual most efficient person to actually work with. And now we'd like to introduce 3 actual real-world business people. And first, the first one, Mr. Furuya, Atsuhiro Tony Furuya. He's working with DMG Events. It's an organizer of AdTech trade show. This is one of the ideas we want to let you know that the companies who are really will have potential to do business in Japan. We truly recommend you to come to Japan during the AdTech trade show. And what is really beneficial